Today on the program, Fiat is backtracking with its electric 600, which is getting an internal combustion version. Hypmotor is going to shake up the competition with its B03X, and Ford is improving its most criticized car. And finally, cars equipped with autonomous driving will need to have 300 GB of RAM. Let's talk about an electric car that decided to go back to good old internal combustion traditions in order to drastically lower its price and, above all, to make some sales. So here is the new Fiat 600 gasoline model. It was already launched in Spain and Germany a few days ago, and it will be arriving here in France very soon. Under the hood, we find a vague derivative of the PureTech, which is supposedly finally reliable. The timing belt running in oil, an invention that made as much sense as a chocolate teapot, has been abandoned. And instead we have a good old metal timing chain. It's the new Stellantis engine, a 1.2-liter turbo 3-cylinder. Speaking of numbers, this little engine produces 100 horsepower with 230 Nm of torque, sent to the front wheels through a 6-speed manual gearbox. Yes, a manual gearbox. 0 to 100 is done in 10.6 seconds, and the top speed is quite respectable at 184 km/h. And since it doesn't have half a ton of lithium under the floor, it's actually pretty economical. Fiat claims an average of 5.7 liters per 100 kilometers and CO2 emissions of 130 grams per kilometer, according to the well-known WLTP cycle, which nobody really understands. We just know that you'll have to pay about 1,000 euros in penalties. But the real good news, the reason this car exists, is the price. In Spain, it starts at 23,000 euros. The French prices haven't been announced yet, but we expect them to be roughly the same, excluding penalties, of course. But in the current market, that's what you call a very well-positioned offer. In short, it's a Fiat that's regained its sense, though with today's oil prices, you wonder where common sense is. After all, timing has never really been the Italian strong suit, and that's also why we love them. Next, here's the Hypmotor A10, or as we'll call it here in Europe, just to mix things up. The B03X Hypmotor arrived in Europe in 2022, and since then, they've come a long way because Stellantis, the automotive giant, dug into its pockets and wrote them a check for $1.5 billion. As a result, they're already profitable, and in 2026 they've decided to flood us with 3 new models, including the B05, the B03, and our famous A10, also known as the B03X. And if we're talking about it, it's for one reason only: its price is going to scare everyone. So what is it exactly? It's a compact SUV measuring 4.27 meters long, 1.81 meters wide, and 1.64 meters high. Visually, it's clean, maybe even too much. There's a closed grille, of course, and a bump on the roof that turns out to be a LiDAR sensor for autonomous driving. And the highlight is at the back. The lights form a smiling face, and they've called it the design. Ha ha ha. No, I'm not joking. That's literally its name. You get past on the highway and the car mocks you. Inside, it's a screen fest, as the times demand, but it all looks cozy, with heated seats and steering wheel, and an absolutely gigantic 602-liter trunk. You could even fit a small pony in there. In fact, the little ponies are under the hood, with an electric motor of 94 or 121 horsepower, with a torque of 150 Newton meters. And to power all that, 2 battery sizes, 39.8 or 53 kilowatt hours. In China, they claim fanciful ranges of 403 and 505 kilometers, according to their CLTC cycle. In the real world, with our European standards, you should expect more like 340 and 430 kilometers. And when you're running low, you can go from 30 to 80% charge in 16 minutes. That's with a fast DC charger. And now, the price. Take a seat. In China, where it's already available to order, this car starts at 65,800 yuan, which is about 8,260 euros. So yes, of course, when it arrives in Europe with customs duties, the price will go up like a soufflé. But Stellantis has a devilish plan. They could assemble it in their factory in Zaragoza, Spain, which would open up. It's a shock.
19 900 euros.
It's a shock, it's a shock. I don't understand. Anyway, tell me in the comments what you think of this A10B03X. Next, let's talk about a car that, when it was born in 2020, caused more heart attacks among car purists than the invention of the automatic speed camera. I'm talking about the Ford Mustang Mach-E. Remember when Ford slapped the Sacred Wild Pony badge on a family SUV running on batteries? Enthusiasts cried blasphemy. They demanded it be renamed, but 5 years later it's still here. And for 2026, Ford has decided to give it a little makeover. It must be said that Ford recently gave up on its big utopian plan to sell only 100% electric cars by 2030. But they're not giving up, so they took the Mach-E and made a few changes to it. Let's start with the range. If you go for the premium version with a big 88 kWh battery, you'll go just a little bit further before you have to beg for a charging station to work, all thanks to new low-rolling resistance tires. As a result, the rear-wheel drive version gains 15 kilometers to reach 615 kilometers in the WLTP cycle, and the all-wheel drive version adds just 5 kilometers to top out at 555 kilometers. That's like going to the end of your street and coming back, but hey, it's still something. But the real novelty is the arrival of a special edition, the Mach-E GT California Special. They took inspiration from a gas-powered Mustang from the late 60s. Obviously, on the electric SUV, it's a bit like putting a cowboy hat on a robot vacuum, but it has its own charm. You get unique 20-inch wheels, navy blue details, a decorative stripe on the hood, and inside special upholstery with matching synthetic materials. But the best news in all of this is the price. The standard range rear-wheel drive version, with its 73 kWh battery, sees its list price drop by 1,000 euros to 52,490 euros. The long-range version, on the other hand, drops by 2,000 euros, starting at 65,490 euros. And that's not all, because right now Ford is in a generous mood, or maybe a bit desperate. They're offering massive discounts with no conditions. We're talking about a 7,000 euro discount on the standard range, which brings the price down to 45,100 euros. And that's not even counting a small CE bonus of 390 euros. And on the premium, the discount goes all the way up to 9,000 euros, bringing the price down to 56,100 euros. So, what do you think of this electric Mustang? Let me know in the comments. People used to buy cars based on simple questions. Does it brake and handle well? And will it hold up past the first roundabout? But now we're entering a completely different, more Baroque era where your next car might need 300 gigabytes of RAM. Yes, RAM, just like a high-end PC. Except here, instead of running the latest GTA, it's about avoiding a scooter suddenly appearing out of nowhere in the rain. If you follow tech even a little, you already know that AI is driving up the demand for memory at an absolutely absurd rate. And this phenomenon might not just be about data centers anymore. It could also affect self-driving cars. At least that's what Sanjay Mehrotra, the CEO of Micron, said during a conference call about the company's earnings. According to him, the next generations of Level 4 self-driving cars and advanced robots could each need more than 300 gigabytes of RAM. In comparison, current vehicles equipped with Level 2 ADAS systems only use about 16 gigabytes, which is almost 20 times less. These Level 2 systems rely on cameras and sensors, of course, but they operate under one very clear assumption. There is always a human behind the wheel, ready to take control. A fully autonomous car operates on another level, analyzing data from over 2 million sources simultaneously. Cameras, radars, lidars, detailed maps, and artificial intelligence models. All of this in real time. Because on the road, every millisecond counts. This kind of instant decision-making therefore requires a much higher memory capacity than current systems. Seen from this angle, tomorrow's autonomous vehicles could look like small data centers on wheels. The RAM plays a central role here because it allows AI models to function efficiently by simultaneously processing a large number of incoming data streams. If RAM is lacking, it can create performance bottlenecks. And in an autonomous car, a bottleneck is no small matter. In computing, this can compromise the safety and reliability of the system. And you, are you in favor of fully autonomous cars? Tell me all about it in the comments. Thank you all for watching this new video. Don't hesitate to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to make sure you don't miss anything. See you